Hey, what's up, guys? We have some very big news regarding the release dates of Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3's next-gen versions, as well as a big PlayStation exclusive coming to PC in 2022. If that sounds interesting, leave a like on the video and consider subscribing if you're new. The first topic we're going to be talking about is the new release dates for Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3's next-gen versions. This is coming from GameRant.com, and the headline reads, Cyberpunk 2077 Witcher 3 next-gen versions hit with big delays. CD Projekt Red confirms that the next-gen versions of both Cyberpunk 2077 and The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt are being delayed to next year. CD Projekt Red has had it rough ever since the disastrous launch of Cyberpunk 2077 that tarnished the studio's reputation in the eyes of even some of its most devoted fans. There was some hope that CD Projekt Red would be able to right the ship and make a comeback a la No Man's Sky through the next-gen version of Cyberpunk 2077, but now both it and the planned next-gen release of The Witcher 3 have been delayed. Originally, the plan was for both the next-gen versions of Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3 to launch in 2021. However, it's since been announced that those next-gen versions of the game have been pushed back to next year. Specific release dates weren't revealed, but now fans shouldn't expect the next-gen version of Cyberpunk until Q1 of 2022, while the next-gen version of The Witcher 3 isn't coming out until Q2 of 2022. Cyberpunk was delayed numerous times in the months leading up to its release, and so CD Projekt Red fans may not be surprised to find out that the next-gen version has also been pushed back. However, it is surprising that The Witcher 3 planned PS5 and Xbox Series X versions has been delayed. After all, there was some evidence that The Witcher 3 next-gen release was actually going to come sooner than expected. European ratings board PEGI released its rating for The Witcher 3 on PS5 and Xbox Series X, and usually when that happens, it means a release is imminent. In fact, the ratings board listing had some expecting that CD Projekt Red was getting ready to surprise launch the next-gen version of The Witcher 3, so some may be puzzled that not only is the game not coming until 2022, but it's coming later than the native PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk. As for why the PS5 and Xbox Series X versions of Cyberpunk and The Witcher 3 have been delayed, the decision was apparently made due to recommendations supplied by persons supervising development. There were accusations from some Cyberpunk developers that CD Projekt management didn't listen to them when it came to the game's release date, so this could be a sign that the company has taken that criticism to heart. In the meantime, one has to wonder if any of the major Cyberpunk DLC will come out this year, or if that has also been pushed back to 2022. More details should come to light in the weeks ahead. When it comes to the next-gen version of Cyberpunk being delayed to 2022, that's not shocking at all. I didn't really expect it to come out this year simply because we haven't really heard any news on that. But as far as The Witcher 3 being delayed to next year, that is actually really surprising because I made a video yesterday talking about how the game officially got rated, and that usually only happens when a game is about to launch, and now it's not coming out till probably sometime in the summer or late spring of next year. And some people were even thinking that maybe CD Projekt was going to do like a surprise release of the next-gen version of Witcher 3, but obviously that's not happening. Now, I want to talk about specifically why, or at least one of the reasons why these next-gen versions were delayed to 2022, and apparently it's because the developers talked to the management over at CD Projekt saying pretty much, we're not going to have enough time to get these ready to release for the holiday season, so, basically please give us more time by delaying it to next year. And thankfully, management actually listened because the developers probably begged for a delay for Cyberpunk 2077 back last year. And obviously management didn't because they didn't want to hurt their investors, so they just forced the game to come out, and we all know how that game ended up being at launch. So at least the management is doing the right thing here by delaying it. I know it does suck that these have been delayed, but hopefully this delay will end up being beneficial to both games. And hopefully, come summer of next year, we'll look back when these next-gen versions of these games come out and we'll be like, you know what, I'm glad that these games were delayed. Because for the most part, when a game gets delayed, it's only for the betterment of the game, which is only for the betterment of whoever is playing that game. Now, down in the comments section, I want to know if you guys are surprised by these games being delayed. I know most of you probably weren't surprised at all by Cyberpunk's delay, but were you surprised even a little bit about The Witcher 3 being delayed? And also, if you could only play one version of either Cyberpunk or The Witcher 3, the next gen version that is, which one would you rather play and why? Now, moving on to the final topic of the video, we're going to be talking about God of War because it was announced today that the game is coming to PC in 2022. This is coming from GameRant.com, and the headline reads, God of War PC port confirmed with a release date. Sony ends months of rumors and speculation by finally announcing the long-awaited God of War PC port and its release date. Sony has made it clear that it intends to bring more of its PlayStation exclusive games to PC, and rumors have been swirling that God of War was next in line. Now, those rumors have been confirmed as the God of War PC port has finally been announced, and like other PlayStation to PC games, it's coming with some special new features that will be exclusive to the PC version of the game. Sony has announced the long-rumored God of War PC port with a new trailer that reveals its January 14th, 2022 release date. The God of War PC version supports true 4K resolution on PCs that can handle it, unlocked frame rates, and a variety of graphical presets for players to choose from. God of War on PC will include NVIDIA DLSS support, NVIDIA Reflex low latency technology, and ultra widescreen support. Since the PS4 DualShock and PS5 DualSense controllers both work on PCs, fans can choose to play the God of War PC version with traditional controls if they like, but the game will also have mouse and keyboard support. Sony has promised that God of War PC players can fully customize the bindings to truly tailor the experience to their liking. Anyone that buys God of War on PC will get some extra goodies as well, like the Death's War armor sets for both Kratos and Atreus. A variety of shield skins will be available to God of War PC players as well, including the Exile's Guardian, Buckler of the Forge, Shining Elven Soul, and Dakin Shielder shield skins. More details on what fans can expect from the God of War PC port will be shared as we get closer to its release date in January. Technically, PC gamers have had access to God of War for a few months now, though this marks the first proper PC release of the game. PC gamers have been able to play God of War through Sony's PlayStation Now subscription service, but that was streaming the PlayStation 4 version of the game, whereas this is a native PC version. While some may question the strategy of releasing PlayStation exclusive games on PC, it's been 3 years since God of War originally launched on PS4, and so it's unlikely that it would still be driving sales for the hardware. Not only that, but this could potentially create new customers for the upcoming God of War Ragnarok who won't want to wait for the PC version of that game to see what happens next in the story. So yeah, I kind of wanted to just double down on that last part of that article right there. You know, I know a lot of you are probably thinking like, oh, this isn't really like shocking or amazing news because PC players have already been able to play God of War, and that, as it says in the article, that was only through Sony's PlayStation Now service, so you couldn't buy the game, you had to stream the game, so you weren't able to get all the uncapped frame rates and all that crazy stuff that PC gamers are used to, but now, for those of you who play PC, you'll actually finally be able to play one of the greatest games of all time with uncapped frame rates and graphics and all that crazy stuff, So it's going to be a different experience compared to just streaming the game. That's only the PlayStation 4 version of that game. And a lot of people are overreacting because one of Sony's biggest IPs is now coming to PC. And I feel like a lot of people maybe just read the headline that says, God of War is coming to PC next year, and people don't remember that this game came out 3.5 years ago, back in 2018. I don't care what game it is, what platform it is. If it's been almost 4 years since the game has came out, I don't care if it comes to PC, even if it comes out 2 years later. Like when God of War Ragnarok comes out next year, if let's say in 2024, if it comes to PC, I'm not going to care because the life cycle of the game, as far as pushing sales for like the PlayStation 5, it's not going to affect Sony and how much money they make. It's not going to do anything like that. So, this is a huge win for PC gamers because this is going to give them a chance to decide about getting a PlayStation just in case they don't want to miss out on God of War Ragnarok, because God of War Ragnarok is coming out next year. And there's going to be a lot of people that play this for the first time ever on PC who have probably never owned a PlayStation or haven't touched a PlayStation in years. And they're going to play it, they're going to beat it, they're going to want more. And they'll be like, oh, wow, in 3 or 4 months or whatever, the sequel's going to come out, but it's not coming to PlayStation, so I got to buy myself a PlayStation. So it's only going to drive the sales not only of the game, but of the console. And like I said in all my videos where I've talked about this, the more money that Sony makes for their games and all the profit that they bring in, that's just more money for them to invest back into their studios. And that's what keeps Sony at the top, because they always get the best developers and they end up making the best games. So I don't see a problem with this. But what do you guys think? Do you guys have a problem about God of War coming to PC? Do you think it should be maybe like 5 or 6 years before a game comes to PC? Or do you even care if it comes out day and date? Like, would you even care if God of War Ragnarok on launch day, if it came out on PC? And also, if you haven't played God of War before, let me know down below if you're going to be checking it out on PC when it launches next year. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.